Hi, this is Dana. Welcome on my channel where I speak about spiritual warfare. In this video, God has guided me to speak about how um, or give advice, or maybe not advice, but just to give an example of how to cope with 3D attacks, be them attacks, sexual attacks, or any other nature of attacks. I said I would just give examples because I'm not sure that I'm the one to give advice on these. I hope and I believe that there are others who cope with 3D attacks better than I do. Um, I have gotten better with time in coping with 3D attacks, but still there's a lot of frustration with it. I believe this is total madness where trickery, deception, insults, traumatic attacks, and toxic encounters of bullying and intimidation are taken to the extreme. There's a high level of frustration and, of course, disrespect of human individuals, rules, laws, rules of engagement, and everything. So, of course, for me, particularly in my case, it's been a huge shock when I started consciously to do spiritual fighting. I had a very rich spiritual life, uh, always very private. It was always a very private part of my life. Nobody knew about it, except a few people, of course, where I was going to church and very, very, very close friends. I always did mystic prayer throughout my life, and I had divine guidance and communication. Um, God taught me, and Jesus taught me soul healing through invocation, working with Jesus in doing this. Archangel Michael gave me my sword of light and truth. So I somehow, for me, spirituality for a very, very, very long time in my life has been something very beautiful, very healing. And it was always the place where I would retreat in order to find myself away from anything that was happening in my life at the time. But when a surprise attack was launched at me in 2018, and I started learning about the particular 3D type of attacks. It was a very, very big shock for me. And I found it to be a complete madness. I was in complete disbelief of what I was encountering. I believe I was very, very lucky that I was able to have divine communication, and I practiced this and mystic prayer for a very long time, so I could get divine guidance in order to carry on my fight. But still I was in disbelief and in shock. I couldn't imagine. Now, of course, the basic golden rule of there are two, I would say, um, in fighting 3D attacks, are the following: one, stay calm and detached. Don't engage emotionally with the attack, right? Knowing that it's a lot of trickery and deception. The other rule is the one that God kept always pointing out to me when I would reach frustration, namely that it takes the foolish things of the world to confound the wisest. Basically, this means, this was God's message to me. This is something that you have to fight in order to achieve a spiritual elevation. So you don't focus on the stupidity and the trickery and the because this is what they want to trigger you, to trigger emotions, and so you have to handle it from a calm and collected place. But of course, if anger, frustration is mounting up in spite of your efforts to keep calm and collected, uh, or because of them using illegal practices against you, you must release that frustration, because it's not beneficial for you to keep it bottled down inside. That's energy as well, you know. So if you succeed to stay calm, detached, and collected, that's perfect. But if you don't succeed, and you only put up a face, a cover up of detachment, while you engage with them, while inside of you frustration is mounting up, then you have to find a way to release it. Okay. Now, how they can use illegal practices to create frustration within you, or anger, they can do energy implants. Of course, they can plant feelings and emotions within you which don't belong to you. They can send holograms to you which have the same effect, even more damaging, because it's an image. Usually it's an image which is supposed to trigger you, or either something that insults you, or something that traumatizes you. They can use psychotronic weapons in order to amplify the force of an attack, and so on. There are many type of attacks like this, using trickery spirits and so on. And sometimes I remember that there are some attacks when basically they do levitation so loud, and they use implant on middle tympan, I think you could say, within your ear, the thing, so you can hear. So they do an energy implant there, and the levitation becomes so loud that it is painful. Actually, I had many times blood coming out of my ear because of this. It was this painful. It's unbelievable, but many times during attacks I had physical wounds on my body because of the force of the attack. Literally, blood pouring from wounds, literally wounds on my body. So of course it's very difficult to keep calm and collected when this happens. Um, so God is guiding me to give a few examples from my, I don't know why he does this. He made me do this also in my prophetic writings on my Facebook. Today he's making me do it again. God shows me that there are people who um, are ashamed to let emotions out when those mount up, and probably this is why. So he wants me to explain, to give a few examples from the crazy stuff I did when I basically lost control of this kind of emotions, right? So there are many times in which I simply lost composure, right? And I did many things, many times even against God's guidance. Honestly, as I said, Jesus is my guardian, and I always, in my spiritual fighting, I ask Jesus, because Jesus tells me more. Sometimes God just keeps quiet because He says I have to pass the test, you know. But Jesus tells me more, what to do and what not to do, and He stays closer to me in my spiritual fighting. So always, no matter what I did, I always asked Jesus. So I never did something without Jesus' accord. But Jesus allows me to do sometimes things which I feel to do out of anger, just to and the logic is that Jesus allows me to do it in order to release that anger, because it's just blocking me. It's blocking my energy. It's blocking my train of thoughts. It's blocking, you know. So even when God says, I shouldn't do something, Jesus stays next to me and He gives me advice. Now, I don't want to, I keep saying this because I don't want to encourage anyone to do crazy, stupid stuff to get themselves in danger. So I point out that I do crazy stuff, but I always ask Jesus, so I don't really do that crazy stuff that much. I mean, I don't go that far that to do something without any kind of divine guidance, right? Um, but it is difficult to keep to the rules, and God is very strict with the rules. So sometimes I will do stuff which God doesn't necessarily recommend. And I will give a few examples because God insists. I will not give you all the examples because honestly, guys, you really don't want to see me when I step into my masculine energy and I get angry. But I will give a few examples just because God insists on me doing this, right? So I think He has His own reasons. I don't know exactly which are those reasons at this point, but I will give a few examples. For example, I will normally I have very polite language, but during this kind of spiritual encounters, sometimes when I'm pushed against the wall, I will call them names. I will insult them on purpose. I will use faulty language with them, which I normally don't do. Which I normally don't do, but I will use them to extreme. Okay, this is not, and they have the guts actually during these times to make complaints against it, and God will show me. I told you not to do this because look, now they are making formal complaints against you, and they ask judgment on you, and they will do some stupid stuff as punishment. So you will have to face the consequences. And I always told God, you know what? I find it insulting that they even have a complaint to make when they do so much illegal stuff. It is not acceptable. For example, it is not acceptable that they do attacks, sexual attacks on me against my will when I stated clearly for them to keep their distance, or even entering in my own home where I forbid them entry. So it is not acceptable. And I consider this to be a rape. It is a rape on your spirit, even if it's not a physical rape on your body. And even if you succeed and you do have a good management of your energy, so they don't really succeed to actually create a rape in astral, but it is on your spirit, because you do have to encounter the trauma created by their attack. Uh, so I don't believe that they should have the right to even make a complaint or something. So and sometimes I would say, you know what? I just want to spit into their face right now. I want to spit into their face. I want to smack their face. I don't care what kind of complaint they make. I really don't. I don't respect them, and I don't respect the stupid rules. They don't respect the rules anyhow. So how could they invoke the rules which they themselves break? So I will do this. I would You would find me doing this sometimes in my spiritual fighting when I am angry enough. So other times I actually did specific actions, uh, and many of them when God actually guided me not to. I'll give you a few examples, but Jesus was with me. They put spirit attachments on my fingerprints. So everything that I would touch in my house, every item possible in my house would have spirit attachments. You couldn't basically breathe in my house. I would faint, essentially. It was that much darkness. I asked God how many spirits and demons were in my house at that time, because I literally fainted. That much darkness was, and God showed me that there were 500. Can you imagine this? On each and every clothes, God said, "Don't wear anything from that house anymore, because everything has spirit attachment." You know. So, but I had my dog in my house. I couldn't take him with me on the streets, and I had to go home to feed my dog. So I had to go through this, and literally, I couldn't sleep in my home for many months. I couldn't stay home. I couldn't sleep in my own home because of them. So I was so angry that essentially what I did, I figured out what to do. I said, I want them to feel the same. I want them to feel exactly how I feel when I enter into my house at this point in time. So I took cigarettes butts from my home. I took as many cigarette butts as possible. I took some garbage, things on which I put my fingerprints. I took some items, some of my clothing, and I went to their homes, to those whom I know they did this, and I knew where they lived or where they worked, right? Or sometimes I would go somewhere where I would know that that individual is somewhere in the city, taking lunch somewhere or something. I would go and I would um, throw the cigarette butts on the street in front of their homes. I would put garbage in their garbage trash bin. I would put clothing, my clothing, in their trash bin because it has spirit attachment. And I said, no, I want them to feel how it feels. I want them, they think it's funny to stay in their own homes, have drinks, partying together, and doing gang stalking and sexual orgies and stuff like this, and sending spirits to my home where I don't bother anyone. And they think this is funny, really. Let's see if they find it funny if I take all this back to them, right? So I went then and I spent my money in those stores which belonged to them, right? Then when I finished my money, I would go to their stores and I would take as much clothing as possible, take it to the fitting room and try them all because it was on my energy, on my fingerprint. So this way, I asked actually Jesus how each and every example I used. I asked, if I do this, does it transfer to them? Yes, fine. Then I'll do it. Uh, and I did many of these crazy. Now looking back, it's a little bit funny or embarrassing to talk about it. But at the time, actually, you cannot imagine their reaction. They couldn't stay in that in those rooms. They would go out. They would get angry. They would, but um, and of course they got more angry at me, and they did even worse things to me. But I must say that I had the satisfaction. This is a bit crazy, but I mean, if you're in madness, you gotta become a little bit crazy in order to survive, you know. And God showed me, He said, now they are doing witchcraft at you. And I said, fine, but I feel so well now that they couldn't stand in their own houses or stores or stuff, you know, because now they know how it feels, you know. Um, for example, another example would be God has shown me that um, the priest that I used to confess to for 15 years sold my wedding vows. So he made deals with them, you know. God showed me that a priest in a monastery nearby my house actually did witchcraft on me. And did witchcraft on me and sent demons to me. So I got really, really, this was a very big shock to me. This was a huge shock to me because, as I said, I had a very rich spiritual life. I used to go to church very, very often, to some of the masses, but sometimes just, you know, to visit the church and the remains of specific saints, which I praise. And I always cherished the church very much. And I was in shock to learn that much of the harm done to me was done through church, you know. So I said, I want to confront them. It is not acceptable. The church does not belong to the priests or to the monks. The church is for the people, and they are employed there. You know, actually, by the money we pay to the church, they have a housing, they have a job, and they have food on the table. They are not paid by us to stay there and do witchcraft on us. And especially confession, it's a very sacred relationship. You're not supposed, as a priest, you're not supposed to take advantage, because God showed me that they did this thing where the priest to which you can confess is considered some sort of um, how you call this, um, caretaker or something, tutor or something like this, and that he has rights because he's your like a godfather to you. He has the rights to sell your wedding vows. What the fuck you mean? You have no fucking rights to send anything to of mine, especially my wedding vows, which should be sacred to you and to everyone else. I was so angry. I cannot explain to you. So I said, I want to confront them. I want to confront them. This is not acceptable to do this. And God has shown me at that particular time also that that the liturgy, and I did a video on this. The liturgy is essentially a satanic ritual of sacrificing Jesus every day, right? So they fool people saying that you can do whatever sins because Jesus died in order to for you to be saved from your sins. That's stupid. That's not true. This is not why Jesus died. Jesus gave you an example through the way he lived of how you are sinned, but he didn't die in order for you to go around and sin. That was their own doing of killing Jesus. That has nothing to do with this, and they created that in order to use Jesus' story to their advantage through this communion which they created. Anyhow, when God explained all of this to me, I was so mad. I cannot explain. And I said, I want to confront them. I just really want to confront. And God said, no, don't go. It won't be good for you. I said, I don't care for anything. I just want to confront them. And I said, Jesus, will you come with me? So Jesus came with me, basically. Jesus agreed. He said, we should confront them. Let's go to the church. So I went to the church and I followed Jesus' instruction. He actually said, don't bend your knees, don't kneel, don't touch anything, don't kiss any icons, don't just go in front of the altar and do exorcism, incantations. And I did. I kept saying, "Begone, Jesus! Begone, Satan!" And the priest actually got sick because it was the priest who was doing witchcraft on me. And at the end of the ceremony, liturgy ceremony, Jesus said, "Now go in front of the altar and claim justice, judgment, and punishment on Orthodox Church." And I did so. And it can be investigated by those who knowledge in astral. I did this in spring 2018, and essentially what happened was Jesus did punish them, did punish that church, and you can actually see that there were many fires that started the next for the next 12, 14 months after that in churches. That was punishment from Jesus. Now, of course, they did witchcraft on me more after that. And God said, look, now you see, this is why I told you not to go. This is why I told you not to go. I don't regret of doing this. I haven't gone to church after that. I actually had an episode after that because they did so much witchcraft on me. A priest did witchcraft on me. So I said, fine. And what they did, they created a spirit and the demonic attachment at me, which works through the third party. Namely, they attach this thing on your energetic field, and this spirit engages with the people that you meet. So third party people that you meet will attack you, you know. This is the third party, and it was the priest in the same church, another colleague of his, who explained to me how it works, you know. He explained to me this was done by a priest here in the monastery. It works like this, is a third party attack. So I said, yes, this is what you did, then I will go. And I said this to that priest, I will come to each and every liturgy when you do service, and I will sit in the front row. I will sit in the front row, so you will stay next to me. You want third party, because he did this spirit attachment third parties that I will encounter wherever I go would attack me sexually. Well, yeah, you did this. So then I will come to each and every liturgy. And let's see if you feel that this is a decent thing that you have done. This is a thing that a priest should be doing. And we will see if I can survive this. We will see if you can survive. And if I cannot survive this, I take you down with me because you made this attachment at me. So I will come here until you take this thing off. So I did go for the next 4 months daily, because that's a monastery, so they have daily liturgy. So I did go every single day, and I did stay in the front row. After a few days, he couldn't do service at liturgy anymore. Essentially, he asked another priest to do it, but I still went 4 months, and I said I will stay here. So we will see if you enjoy uh, going through this. If you want third party to attack me and you think this is funny, uh, I don't care who asked you to do this. You're a priest, you're not allowed to do this, you know. Anyhow, God was not very happy. He said, they will do more attacks at you, and they have institutional power from church, and it will be more painful for you. But uh, I don't know how to say. I was not expecting that I would encounter so much adversity from church, and so I didn't know these attacks were created on me, and I didn't know it was by church, and probably because I gave such a high importance to church in my life. This was very hurtful to me to learn that the church is doing this, and even a priest actually told me he at some point, I explained in another video that I submitted my resignation when this attack started. The individuals who were doing gang stalking on me, because I was using the sword and I was defending myself in my own home. Thank you very much. I think it's very legitimate. And they said, we have rights over you because you work in this institution. And they were Intel officers, and they said, our institution oversees your institution. We have rights over you. And I couldn't believe this. I asked God, is this true? What the fuck is he talking about? And God said, well, it's not legal, but it's true because they created the system in these fake authorities which they created, which are not according to Astra rules and are not according to Akashic records. They don't have legitimacy, but they created this. And I said, fine, then I resign. If you have claims on me and you consider to have rights on me because I go to my workplace and you created some crazy system in which you think you should have rights over people who work in a public institution, fuck you. I will resign. And I did resign. And you cannot imagine, I was shocked again as they went and they spoke with the priest at the monastery to whom I was asking for advice on how to fight this. And the priest told me, they came to me and they talked to me and they said they made a proposal for you to withdraw first the resignation and to withdraw as well the formal complaint which you made at the Intel institution, and in exchange for and to accept a pension. So you withdraw from a public institution, conditioned that you accept to say that you have schizophrenia. I said, no, I won't do this. And the priest insisted, he was their advocate, saying that you should do this because you get a good pension. But if you don't, they told me to tell you that you will not have a chance to work in this country ever again because they will follow you everywhere. And I said to him, look, they work with Satan at me. They did witchcraft. They've sent sexual attacks at me. And you ask me to make a deal with them? This would mean to betray God. This would mean to betray who I am. And this would mean to say that all I've been fighting so far, it is not true. It's not a spiritual fight. And actually, the priest said, I know other people who went through the same situation and they did accept this proposal before. So I said, what the fuck you mean? Do you work with them? You're a priest. I came here to ask advice on how to do spiritual fighting. And instead, I'm finding a priest who's advocating for my attackers on how to intimidate me um, in order to make a deal with them or compromise with them. So I said, no, screw you. I will claim again judgment and punishment on all of you. You are all in this together. You worked with them. I thought that it would be just one priest who made a mistake, but it just shows that everybody here is involved with them. This is not acceptable to me. Yeah, so I did what I told you. I claimed judgment and punishment. I never went to church since then. And there are many other things which I did. I don't remember them all. This has been already a very long video, so I think I'll stop here. It is important to keep your determination. That's the bottom line. If you mount up frustration or hurt, like it was the case with the church. It was a very deep hurt for me to see the church doing this, and I don't conceive even to have anything to do with any kind of church anywhere in the world, in any religion. But the most important thing is to keep your determination and the willpower. And if that calls for you to do some crazy stuff in order to um, just release the frustration and the hurt and the pain, and to feel, because it takes a long time to get justice in spiritual fighting. So sometimes you just need on short term some sort of justice, some sort of feeling of justice, even if it's something foolish, something of course you have to ask for divine guidance to make sure that you're not doing something which you cannot face afterwards. But um, it is important to keep your determination. And I always said this to them every time when I would do something like this. I told them, I said, I will take you down with me. I will make sure that I'll drag you down with me if I fall. And if I fall, I go to God. If I die, I go to God, and I still claim justice, judgment, and punishment, and I still get justice against you and what you did to me, because I'm innocent and you had no right to do any of this on me. Um, and sometimes it was really difficult, but I told them, I'll run, and if I can't run, I will walk, and when I can't walk, I'll crawl, and still I'll make it to the end, and still I'll make sure that you get judged and punished. And by the end of this whole thing, when I'm done with you, you will know what faith and fear of God means. You will learn faith and fear of God. um, to be honest, at this point in time, I think there are a number of people who did learn faith and fear of God through all my spiritual fighting since this started 4 years ago. Um, Now, I don't know if any of this helps you in your spiritual fighting. Somehow, God seems to be convinced that it could be useful to some of you. Don't, I mean, to me, it was like this is the point of no return. I'm not going back to the previous life, obviously. So I might as well make sure that I'm doing whatever is needed in this spiritual fighting to make it through and to find a new path for me. Um, so I guess it is important, as I said, to just release frustration, anger, and any of the negative feeling or low vibration feelings that you encounter throughout all this, because there are many of them. So I hope this helps anyone. And if not, I did what God asked me. So I guess God has somebody in mind to either to use this information with. I wish you well in your spiritual fighting. I wish you willpower, strength, and resilience